being around water makes me feel great. I've got birds in the background, there's fish, there's lots of people feeling good about being out on the river. It's about people and rivers and sharing their knowledge.
That's what vegetation and water does. It lifts us up.
We can walk through life and not see things, really see things. And to be able to notice water life in the water, that's really what I want to find out about.
What we do in our rivers, on the banks and in the water, has a vital consequence from right at the top of our catchments to the very bottom.
In the language of the Ngunnawal people, Dara Nonna, Dara Ngunnawal, Yomalondi. This land is Ngunnawal land. Welcome.
We're here on the Yass River on a beautiful property called Casamara, and Sam and Mari Polyak own this property and they're doing some fantastic work along their riparian zone. So they've got old trees and then they're encouraging new trees to regenerate. There's no stock in this area and we're seeing as a result a whole lot of shrubs and trees and reeds all coming back into the river. But it's really a day to celebrate being near a river and to enjoy being near nature and connecting with nature.
We purchased it about almost 20 years ago and actually fell in love with the willows. The whole river was lined with these beautiful willows and it was just, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. And we've removed all the willows as a result. It's been a long-term project, lots of re-veg and lots of laborious tree planting and maintaining and watering and what have you, but very worth the effort. Common sense and logic prevailed and the more you learn about the river, you realise how bad the issue is, and that's only one issue facing Yass River, of course. Yeah, I am a convert, but I did struggle quite substantially. Yeah, and I now am trying to convert other people. It's a bit like giving up smoking, really, I think.
My personal position is that I'm against any invasive species, and most of those tend to be exotics. So I am very interested in the clearing of anything that's exotic within our riverine situation on the banks.
We just live up the road. We don't live on the river, but our property is a catchment for the river. And we just love the river. We always come down and look at it and just really love the environment here and wanted to learn more about it because I would drive to and from Yass and go, oh, why are they taking all the willows out of the river? And so I've learnt something today, so it's been really good.
When we think about fish, and when I think about fish in a river, particularly somewhere like the Yass River, I think it's really important to think about what was historically within the system and what is there now compared to what was there historically, particularly in the reference if we're talking about restoring the river or trying to bring the river back to some semblance of what it used to be prior to European settlement. So to do that...
I know nothing about fish. I really want to learn about fish. My father's a great fisherman and a great bird watcher, and he's taught us a bit over the years, but he's a trout fisherman, and so I maybe picked up a little bit about the trout habitat, but I know nothing about fish really, so I'd just like to know what can be done and to identify different sorts of fish as well, and shrimps, and just learn more about water life within the water itself.
The golden perch and the Murray cod, both of which Ross has said before that they're restocking. These little guys here, the mountain galaxid, and these little guys here, which are called a carp gudgeon, really small and probably one of the most common native species throughout. So basically all these other species are gone from the Yass River, or we haven't been able to catch them in any of the sampling we've been doing over the last number of years.
We'll see what... Don't stir it around too much, Tom, because the more you stir, the less you see, because it'll stir all the water up, you see? What have you found? See anything moving in there? But when we find something particularly cool, we can put a little bit of water in here and have a bit of a closer look at it. We've got some water bugs here from the river, and the types of bugs we get and the diversity of bugs we get and then the number of bugs we get help indicate the quality of the water, because there's certain bugs that are more sensitive to pollutants and runoff of fertilisers and things like that than other bugs, and so they're a really good indicator of water quality over a longer term than just an event. We do water quality sampling, but bugs help us tell over the long term how our water is doing. And what you tend to find with Yass River water is that the electrical conductivity, which is the salinity of minerals in the water, tends to be a little on the high side due to historical land clearing and also just some natural underlying geology. And that tends to keep the bug diversity a little bit down because some of the more sensitive bugs won't tolerate higher electrical conductivity. So that's, but they're also a very good crowd pleaser. And it's just lovely to see all this life in the river. He's got something living inside him, hasn't he?
Yes.
So that's called a caddisfly, and he likes to take little hollowed out bits of stick and reeds and use it as a shell, a bit like a hermit crab or something. So they use it as their home to protect them and camouflage in them before they grow up into big grown-up caddisfly and fly away. You see this?
Well, an event like this is really special because it brings people together, particularly people who are passionate about their rivers, and also it helps expose people who are a bit unsure about what to do or what they could be doing in their river. And it's a great way of bringing local communities together. So today we've seen people who've done restoration works, people who are thinking about doing restoration works, and people who just like supporting these kinds of activities.
What sort of things did you find when you were doing your little bug surveys?
Well, there was a lot of shrimps.
Yeah, how many did you get?
I caught 2.
You caught 2. And what else?
I caught a lot of
Did you find mayflies?
caddisflies.
Caddisflies. Good one. And what about, was there any mozzies? Didn't see any.
Yeah.
And what about the ones that go like this?
Yep.
What are they called?
Swimmers.
Water boatmen, are they?
Water boatmen.
And what about those really quick little beetles?
Didn't check.
Didn't check. But there you go.
You've seen a wide variety of things connected to the river this morning. You've seen how it's been used for tens of thousands of years by the traditional owners. You've seen how the biology connects with the land, the plants, how the river connects with its surrounds, and all of those different aspects of it. And for me, at least, it's opened up a whole new way of thinking about this river.
We've only got limited funds really for managing natural resources, and so we're working in fragmented landscapes, particularly in southeastern Australia, and so we've got to look at corridors. So it's a word that's bandied about, but rivers are corridors, and some of them can be in poor condition, but because rivers are quite rich, biodiverse places, quite good soil, is a real opportunity to improve the biodiversity along river corridors. And so rivers can link remnant vegetation. Riparian corridors are a classic wildlife corridor, and so with limited funds, it's a no-brainer that we try and invest in the riparian corridor.
It's very easy for some, especially some of the property owners, to look at what we've got there. That for them, to them it's not broken, so why should they fix it? They've got these beautiful willow trees that are shady, and the river's like it is. But to see what the river can be and what it can do, in terms of, we've got property owners that have never been down to their river, apart from to run the pump. To them, it's just there. To them, it's a tap and a lifeline to where it can be beautiful. It can be. You can use it for recreation. We've got some of our guys now kayaking on sections of river you couldn't even move along because it was so choked with willow trees. So it's that whole, not in a selfish way, but you can enjoy the river for yourself as well as helping the environment. So I think, well, why not?
You have to be really nice to Luke because Luke's cooking carp for lunch. Okay? I've eaten carp. It's okay.
I want you to.
I think it's important, particularly with Australia, because I'm not from Australia, but coming here, there's a lot of community that grows around these sort of areas, and obviously dates back to their parents and their grandparents. So it's a nice way to stay connected with your families. I know, especially with Wally talking about some of the river connections around here as well. There's a lot of history with these rivers, and I think that's one of the sort of reasons preservation is so important. You know, this is stuff that people grew up with, and it's nice to be able to pass that knowledge down generations.
Well, that's a really interesting thing. A number of times I've had, you know, just fillets on a plate in the fridge,
and no one will know.
And I've brought heaps of people round. You know, my brothers, you know, family friends that come around, and just shown these fillets to so many people and said, you know, what sort of? I said, I got some fish for dinner here. What do you think it is? And nobody's even had a clue. You know, even close and looked at it and smelled it, and a lot of people don't believe me.
It's amazing. Like it's such a firm flesh, and it's. I mean, you couldn't tell if you're not eating like a Thai fish cake in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Which now makes you think how many of them in the restaurant.
They're all carp.
Exactly.
It's our lifeblood, really. We need our water supply, and this river particularly has major issues. It's a town water supply for a start, so we really need to get involved in picking it up and getting it back into place. And it needs a lot of work, and we need a lot of combined effort to get it to where it should be. But as I said, it's our lifeblood, so we really need to get it up and running as prim and proper as it should be, and as it naturally is possible as well.